Okay, I'm pretty sure this is recording.
It is recording.
Okay. Good. Okay. Good morning, class. How are you?
Good.
Okay. Here with everything from you. You can leave that there. Actually, that's fine. It's okay. But can you put a pencil out? And in our last 3 lessons, or not our last 2 lessons, we were doing signaling and answering ingredients. Remember that? Yeah. So if I was to ask you a question such as, if I was to say, next year you'll be sophomores. Next year you will be sophomores. Wonderful. Or if I signal at you, it's going to be a point. So next year you will be sophomores. Good. So good answering on cue. That's what we're going to do throughout the lesson. Today we're going to learn a rule about using colons. And this is going to help you in your writing because sometimes you want to introduce something and then talk more about it, like in a list or something. So this will help you to improve your writing. So this also deals with independent and dependent clauses, which we talked about before. So, do you remember that independent and dependent clauses both have a subject and a verb to them, but a independent clause can stand alone as a sentence, and a dependent clause can't. So let's just review that real quick. Up on the board, up on the projector. Okay, read number 1 with me. Ready? If I was the president. Perfect. So, can this sentence stand by itself to make a whole sentence? No. There's one word in there that makes us believe there's more to come. Which is that word? If. Perfect. So, because this can't stand alone as a sentence, is this an independent or dependent clause? Dependent. Perfect. Very good, Colleen. Let's try the second one. Read this with me. Ready? I had a wonderful weekend. Perfect. So, can this stand alone as a sentence? Yes, it can. So, is this an independent or dependent clause? Very good. And the last one, ready? Sarah and my perfect. Can this stand alone as a sentence? Yes. So what is it? An independent clause. Wonderful. And we already talked about how this is going to help improve your writing because sometimes in our writing we want to introduce something before we give the details. So this is the rule that we're going to use today.
We have Ryan too.
Okay, were you watching the whole thing before? Okay, so I'm going to read this rule twice, so just listen to me, okay? A colon is used after an independent clause to introduce a list of items, even if the list includes only one single item, or an expansion of the idea from the first clause. So listen to me as I read it again, and I'm going to underline our critical attributes. A colon is used after an independent clause to introduce a list of items or an expansion of the idea from the first clause. So I'm going to read, and when I stop, I want you to say the words, okay? A colon is used after an independent clause to introduce a list of items, even if it only includes one single item, or an expansion of the idea from the first clause. Wonderful. So will you read those 3 together? Ready? The first one is after independent clause. Oh, okay, let's try it again. I'm sorry. Number 1. Ready? After an independent clause. Okay, one more time. Ready? Number 1 says after an independent clause. Number 2. Number 3. Wonderful. So these are the 3 critical attributes that we're going to be working with. When I show you examples, we have to have an independent clause before the colon, and then after the colon has to be either a list of ideas or an expansion of an idea. So follow me as I do the first one. Can you read this one with me, everyone? It says, ready? I am going to buy the ingredients for sandwiches. Bread, meat, cheese, and mayo. Yeah. Okay, so first I want to ask myself, is there an independent clause before the colon? Okay, let me read this. I am going to buy the ingredients for sandwiches. I know that this can stand alone as a sentence to make a sentence, so it's an independent clause. So the first critical attribute applies. Now I have to make sure that the second part has either a list of items or an expansion of an idea. The second part says bread, meat, cheese, and mayo. That's a list of items, so I know that that critical attribute applies. So if at least the first one works and one of the second two applies, then this is an example of a colon being used appropriately. So I'm going to write correct right here. Okay, now watch as I do the next one. So read it with me, everyone. When I go home, I will eat, do homework, and go to sleep. Okay, so first we have to have an independent clause. Okay, so let me read that. When I go home. When I go home, it can't stand alone as a sentence, so that's a dependent clause. So right away I know that this sentence is not an example. This is incorrect. Because we have to have the first critical attribute. So number 3. Will you read this with me, everyone? Ready? Exercise is good for your health. It helps you control your weight and allows you to sleep better at night. It will give you more energy throughout the day. Good reading. I like how you guys are staying together while you read it, okay? So we have to see the first critical attribute. I'm going to ask myself, is there an independent clause? Say with me, is there an independent clause? Okay, exercise is good for your health. That's correct. Thank you. Okay, exercise is good for your health, and that is an independent clause because it can stand alone as a sentence. Next, I want to see if there's a list of items or an expansion of an idea. So first we're talking about exercise, and then it says it helps us to control our weight and allows us to sleep better at night. It also gives us more energy throughout the day. So this is expanding on the original idea. So this is because the first critical attribute applied and one of the second did, we know that this is correct. Okay, I'm going to do one more, and then we're going to do them together, okay? So, read this with me. Everyone, toddlers know only one question. Why? Okay? So, I'm going to ask myself, is there an independent clause in the beginning? Toddlers know only one question. That's a sentence. That can stand alone as a sentence. So our first critical attribute applies. Good. I really hope this is working.
What doesn't?
We'll see. Anyway, and then I'm going to ask myself, is the second part either a list of items or an expansion of an idea? This is tricky because if you look back to our rule, it says a list of items, even if the list includes only a single item, which this does. So we know that one of the last two critical attributes applies. This is a list of items. Why? So this is correct. All right, awesome. Thank you guys for helping me with this. So let's repeat the critical attributes one more time, okay? When okay, read them with me, everyone. 1, after an independent clause. 2, list of items. 3, expansion of idea. Okay, try to stay with me when I read. That's perfect, though. So I'm going to pass out a paper. Okay, and please don't go ahead. I want to do this with you guys. You're doing very well so far. I'm going to have this up on the board too. All right. And our 3 critical attributes are still up there. So, what is going on? All right. So, can everyone, before we start with this one, you told me that we have 3 critical attributes. 1 was after an independent clause, 2 as a list of items, and 3 was an expansion of ideas. It's easy to get mixed up. So read the first one with me, okay? Ready? On Friday, I will go to Matt's house and we will play soccer. Good. first I'm looking to see if there is a independent clause. So let me read this. On Friday. Oh, I'm sorry. I did grab one paper here. So we're going to be working with, okay, so we still went over those. Let's just read this one together instead. Number 1, ready? You should have 2 large nails, a hammer, and plywood. So first I'm going to ask myself, is there an independent clause before the colon? You should have. Well, you should have, that can't stand alone as a sentence, so I know that does not apply. You're right. So because we know that our first critical attribute does not apply, I'm going to write incorrect. And can you write that please too? Incorrect. Perfect. Number 2, read this one with me, guys. I had a lot of homework tonight. Math, science, and history. Good reading. And good staying together. So first I'm going to ask myself, is there an independent clause before the colon? I have a lot of homework tonight. Well, that can stand alone as a sentence. So yes, that's an independent clause. So our first critical attribute works. Now I have to see if there's either a list of items or an expansion of the idea after the colon. Math, science, and history. That's a list of items. So our first critical attribute applies and our second critical attribute applies. That is correct. Please write that on your paper. Perfect. Number 3, ready? For example, cats, dogs, and birds. So I have to ask myself if there is, everyone, an independent clause. And is there an independent clause before the colon, everyone? No. Why is that? Why is there no independent clause? Colleen?
I have no idea.
Well, Ryan, do you know?
Because isn't it? It's not a complete sentence.
Exactly. It can't stand alone as a sentence. Perfect. Okay. So right away we know that our first critical attribute does not work. So is this correct or incorrect? Everyone? Incorrect. Great. Okay. Number 4. Ready? I have many favorite animals: cats, birds, and dogs. This looks a little bit like this number 3. So you have to ask yourself, is there an independent clause before the colon? Everyone?
Yes.
Yes. And why is that? Colleen? Good. It's a complete sentence and it can stand alone as a sentence. Perfect. So now we have to ask ourselves if there is a list of items or an expansion of an idea. Is there a list of items or an expansion of an idea?
Yep.
Yes, which one?
List of items or extension of idea.
Okay, which one is it? Is it a list of items or an expansion of an idea? Everyone? List of items. Wonderful. So 2 of our 3 critical attributes apply. That means that is this correct or incorrect?
Correct.
Good. Write that on your paper, please. Okay. Number 5. Read it with me, everyone. Sharks swim in the water. There are over 400 species, and they all have replaceable teeth. Okay, good. Look at our critical attributes, and just remember to make sure that 2 of them apply, and write your answer in the 3 sentences. Good. Good job, guys. Very good. Okay, you both put correct. Wonderful. Number 6. Read with me, everyone. Lauren said, I can't go to the movies tonight. So ask yourself, don't forget to look for all 3 critical attributes, and then answer this one. Good job. Good job staying with me. Very good. You both put incorrect. Because which one of these does not apply? Exactly, the independent clause. Good job. All right, so I want you to read number 7 and go ahead and answer it by yourself, and then put your pencil down so I know that you are with me. All right, cool. Okay, let's see. Good. Very good. You both did that correctly. So go ahead and answer 8, 9, and 10 by yourself, and then you can do some on your own. Good. Very good. Okay, so before we wind up, I just want to review our 3 critical attributes. So in order for a colon to be used correctly, we need to have an independent clause. We need to have and.
Expansion of an idea.
Very good. So next time our lesson is going to be about semicolons and how to use those with independent clauses. So I want you guys to do this, and you guys did a very, very good job today. Thank you for your help. And go ahead and start this.